श्रीमान् वेंकटनाथार्य कवितार्के केसरी वेदांताचार्यवर्यो मे सन्निधत्तां सदा हृदि रामानुजदयापात्रं ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणं श्रीमद्वेंकटनाथार्यं वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकं लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोगतसतितराणतृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य शरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये। श्रीवत्सचिन्नमिश्रेभ्यो नमभुक्तिमधीमहे यदुक्तयस्त्रयी कंठे यान्ति मंगलसूत्रधाम। श्री पराशर भट्टार्यः श्रीरंकेश पुरोहितः श्रीवत्सांकसुत श्रीमान श्रेयसे मेस्तु भूयसे। Today is Sri Paraasara Bhattar Thirunakshathram. Paraasara Bhattar is the precocious son of Srivatsanka Mishra Korattalvan. Korattalvan was the prime disciple Shishya of Bhagavad Ramanujacharya. Paraasara Bhattar himself says in the invocatory verses of Sahasranama Bhashyam, Bhagavad Guna Darpanam, he had written an exhaustive commentary on Vishnu Sahasranama Stotram called Bhagavad Guna Darpanam. Darpanam means mirror. The mirror that reflects the Bhagavad Gunas is the Sahasranama Bhashyam. So Paraasara Bhattar himself says that he was the son of Srivatsanka Mishra and the disciple of Govinda, more popularly known as Yambar. But for one or two incidents in his life, everything about Paraasara Bhattar is shrouded in mystery. No doubt Paraasara Bhattar was glorified in Guru Paramparas, but there is no unanimity in the record of his life. Ramanuja, whose date is fortunately known as 1027 to 1137, 120 years, and Paraasara Bhattar was a junior contemporary of Ramanuja, son of Korattalvan. But there is a different school of thought that one Guru Parampara says he was born in a Vaikasi Masam Anuradha Nakshatram in the Tamil year Subakrit. And some people say he lived for 100 years, 1106 to 1206. Some people say he lived for 97 years, 1078 to 1175. Some others say he lived only for 28 years, 1123 to 1151. But definitely he lived in the first half of the 12th century. And his birth itself is so beautiful, so wonderful to enjoy. His birth is as mysterious as narrated in the Guru Parampara. It was a day of heavy rain, downpour in summer days in Srirangam. Kodai Malai. Heavy rain, heavy downpour, torrential downpour. It was raining cats and dogs, and Korattalvan, the greatest devotee of Sri Rangaraja, he was not able to go on his Unchavritti to gather his food by alms. That was his everyday Anushtanam. So he and his obedient, faithful Devigal, Sri Andal, had to remain at home because of the rain, because he did not go out. They were without any food that day. It was raining whole day. The midday worship of Ranganathan was in the temple, and the Lord, the bell rang, the divine bell rang when the Ranganatha Prasadam was offered to Ranganatha. The midday worship took place. And Perumal, it seems, commanded Uttama Nambi the chief priest of the temple, to take one plate of Bhagavad Prasadam offered to the Perumal and to deliver to his devotee Kurattalvan in his Tirumaligai, in his house. So when the food was brought to the doorstep of Kurattalvan, Kurattalvan was simply moved to tears by the kripai of Ranganathan and bowed down to Uttamanambi, the chief priest, received it with utmost respect as a divine gift. He had one look at Andal. Andal sought forgiveness because she thought when the divine bell rang during the midday worship, she thought for a moment that your devotee is here hungry and you are having prasadam. She just thought for a moment, and Perumal ordered the prasadam to be brought to Kurattalvan and Srimati Andal. He took 1/3 of the prasadam and gave 2/3 to his wife. From that day, Andal became pregnant, and in due course of time, after 10 months, she gave birth to 2 sons who were given the name of Ranganatha and Sri Rama. This is very much like Ramabiran and his 3 brothers who were born in the world out of the payasam that emerged out of the yagam and was taken in by Kaushalya, Sumitra and Kaikeyi, the queens of Dasaratha. So this Ranganatha was called Paraasara, and they say Vyasa because Ramanuja had taken a vow to name the 2 children in the Sri Vaishnava Sampradayam in honor of sage Paraasara and sage Vyasa, as was voiced by him to Swami Yamunacharya during his ascension to Paramapadam. So Paraasara Bhattar, the Bhattar, was adopted as their son Svikara Putran by the divine couple Ranganatha and Ranganayaki, and was brought up by them, the divine Dampati, Divya Dampati. Bhattar also says in the 4th slokam here, he mentions that he was very much fortunate to receive the blessings of the Divya Dampati. At the 4th slokam of the beginning of Sahasranama Bhashyam, that his father Srivatsanka Mishra gave him, the name given to him was Ranganatha, and which was conferred on him with love by Ranganatha was Paraasara. This is confirmed by in the Sahasranama Bhashyam. Even in Sri Rangarajastavam 17th slokam, Paraasara Bhattar says that he was fondled with great love by the divine couple. Sri Rangaraja Kamalapada Lalita, the supreme deity, was in speaking terms with Paraasara Bhattar. Even as a child, Paraasara Bhattar was very intelligent, extremely precocious by nature. He was just a boy of 4 years and was playing in the street of Srirangam with other boys. And Srirangam was a stronghold of Vaishnavism. There was one Sarvajna Bhattar, a scholar of repute. He was brought in a pallak, in a palanquin, with great pomp, pride, surrounded by his ardent shishyas, admirers, who were proclaiming his shastric knowledge and skill in Tarkam. Bhattar was amused to see and hear them. He laughed. He took a handful of dust and went towards the palanquin, stopped and said, "Sir, please tell me how much is this dust. If you are so good at the knowledge, if you are having deep knowledge, please tell me how much is this dust." The scholar was struck with wonder at the boldness of the young child and his question. He remained silent. Bhattar threw away the dust and said, "Why all this pomp, pride, shoutings, when you do not know that you could have said this is a handful of dust?" The aged scholar admired the intelligence of the boy. Getting down from the palanquin, he hugged him, embraced him with love, and blessed him and went away. There are very many anecdotes like this to illustrate Paraasara Bhattar's intellect, learning, scholarship, devotion, and respect for the Bhagavatas. Bhattar learnt all the Shastras from his father and the Adhyatma Shastras, the Vedanta Shastras from Embar, Govinder. He also studied the Alvar Prabandhams and acquired mastery over the Prabandhams in his very early age. The sweetness, the melody, the bhakti of the Pasuram simply lured him, attracted him, and enchanted him, so that almost throughout the day and night he lived, moved, and had his being in the divine Divya Prabandhams. His classes and discourses on Sanskrit Sastrams and Tamil Pasurams were so interesting, illuminating, that students came in hundreds to his place to learn from him. Sri Ramanuja was very much pleased by his jnanam, anushtanam, pravachanam, bhakti, and he appointed Bhattar as one of the 74 Simhasanadipatis in the presence of all his disciples. Bhattar spent his life in Srirangam, worshipping Ranganathan and giving lessons to those who came to him. This is referred in the references to Kadambari, Kiratarjuniyam, Kavya Darsham in Sahasranama Vashyam show that he was equally proficient in other literature also. The Guru Parampara records that in the happy life of Paraasara Bhattar, one sad incident occurred, which led to his voluntary exile from Srirangam for a few years. There was a local chief by name Akalanga Brahmarayan by name. He drew up a plan to renovate the Madil Shuvar, the rampart wall in the city of Srirangam. There was a small house of a great devotee situated on the path of the wall that was planned to be built. So he ordered Akalanga Brahmarayan to build the wall, leaving the house intact, and circumvent the house. Do not break the house. The hut of a Bhagavata is stronger than the wall to the city. But Akalanga Brahma did not yield. Bhattar thought it would be better to keep himself away from such a person. So he went to Tirukoshtiyur. But his heart was crying for a snanam in Kaveri. The Ranganatha Sevai, Ranganayaki Sevai, and a life in Srirangam. So his Ranganatha Stotram, Rangaraja Stavam, gives a graphic picture of anguish, the pangs of separation, the Viraha Tapam in his mind, and his prayer to Ranganathan: "May I be at least a dog in the street of your city, Ranga." After some time, Paraasara Bhattar was taken back to Srirangam, and the joy, the ecstasy he experienced can be seen in every slokam of Rangarajastavam, beginning from the bath in the Kaveri, entry into the city, worship of Lord Ranganathan. And in Sri Rangarajastavam, he designates the Tiruvaimozhi of Nammalvar as Sagastra Saka Dravidi Brahma Samhita, Tamil Veda with 1,000 branches like the Samavedam. He describes Ranganatha as having his repose in the lyrics of Nammalvar with as much of love as he does on the banyan leaf, the alilai, in the womb of Devaki, in the Upanishads, on the bosom of Lakshmi. Like that, he is reclining in the lyrics in the Nammalvar Pasurams. Paraasara Bhattar says Nammalvar was for him. For Paraasara Bhattar, Nammalvar is considered as the personification of Krishna Bhakti. And Bhattar says the Punnaga Maram. The Punnaga Maram in the Chandrapushkarani bank in Srirangam temple grows only by listening to the Nammalvar Pasurams, not by the water or any other nutrients. The works of Paraasara Bhattar are so wonderful that the first one is Sri Vishnu Sahasranama Bhashyam, which is the exhaustive commentary on Vishnu Sahasranama Stotram. Ashtashloki, this explains the meaning of the three important Ragasyams, Ashtakshara Mantram, Dvaya Mantram and Charma Slokam in 8 slokams. Ranganatha Ashtakam, the 8 slokas of the Ranganatha Stotram portray the feelings of Bhattar when he had to be away from Srirangam and his ardent quest, the desire and the longing, the Viraha Tapam to come to Srirangam. And Sri Rangarajastavam is the 4th one, which is the Stotra on Lord Ranganatha in 2 parts, Purva, then Uttara. So, Purva Satakam, Uttara Satakam, which describes the joy experienced by Bhattar when he was again in Srirangam, visiting every nook and corner of Srirangam, worshipping the Perumal in his heart, in the Pranavakara Vimanam, and the other deities and the sub-shrines. It's a beautiful, also it gives the doctrines of Vishishtadvaita philosophy. There are 127 slokams in the first section and 105 slokams in the second section. Acharya Anugraham, one day we will enjoy the slokams of Rangarajastavam. Then Sri Gunaratna Kosam is the 5th stotra, where in 61 verses he praises the goddess Ranganayaki, the divine consort of Sri Rangaraja. The other 4 works of Bhattar, which were available only in fragments in the form of quotations by others, are Tattva Ratnakara, which is on ontology and epistemology. The work is frequently quoted by Vedanta Desika in Nyaya Parishuddhi, Nyaya Siddhanjanam. 72 quotations are referred to by Vedanta Desika about this Tattva Ratnakara. And Nitya, a manual of daily rituals, code of conduct, the daily worship. But for a couple of slokas quoted by Vedanta Desika, it appears to be lost. Then Adhyatma Khanda Dvaya Vivarana or Vyakya. 2 quotations are all that are available, which are quoted by Vedanta Desika in his Nyaya Siddhanjanam. Jiva Paricheda, one in connection with the definition of Sariram, and the other with Kaivalyam, the enjoyment of Jivatma, individual soul, being of a lower order than Moksha, is talked about in this work. Lakshmi Kalyanam. This is said to be a drama by Bhattar dealing with the wedding of goddess Lakshmi. This is also unfortunately lost to us. Vedanta Desika refers to it by name Lakshmi Kalyana in two of his works and quotes some quotations from there. So beautifully, Swami has composed so many works in Sanskrit. Bhattar, there are 2 works of Bhattar in Manipravala language, Tamil and Sanskrit, harmoniously mixed, which was the medium of commentary in South India at that time. One of the 2 is an exposition of a chapter in Varaha Puranam, and the other on the verse of Thirumangai Alvar. In the Varaha Puranam, Bhagavan Varaha reveals to his consort Bhuma Devi, when he had lifted up from the troubled waters, the greatness of recitation of the names of Bhagavan set to a tune Kaishika by name. In that connection, he narrates a story how a devotee who was an outcast, he was able to bring about the salvation of a Brahma Rakshasa, the ghost of a fallen Brahmin, by the gift of the merit earned by him that night by worshipping Bhagavan, by propitiating Bhagavan with his namam, with his names sung in the Kaisika tune. So this incident took place in Tirukkurungudi on the night of the Ekadashi in Sukla Paksha of Kartika Masam. After writing the commentary on it, Bhattar wanted to offer at the feet of his favorite devotee, favorite Perumal Ranganathan, and it so happened that it was the identical same day. So Perumal was so much pleased with the production of Bhattar, and he straightway bestowed upon him the highest gift, namely Sri Vaikuntham, then and there. Next moment, Bhattar shed his mortal coil and attained union with God in Sri Vaikuntham. So in commemoration of this episode of Bhattar, a festival is celebrated even today in Srirangam. Every year when the Lord proceeds to a special mandapam and after a special worship, listens to the narration of Bhattar's work by a lineal descendant of Bhattar in the presence of devotees, Bhagavatas. The next day at dawn, he is suitably honored and sent home, sent to Sri Vaikuntham with all the paraphernalia of the Lord. The second one is a commentary on verse 21 of Tirunedandandagam of Tirumangai Maivanna Narunkunji. It describes graphically in a very beautiful, sweet and divine, moving language the pangs of separation of Parakala Nayagi, the heroine in separation. Parakala Nayaki is the lady role of Tirumangai in Nayaki Bhavam. The separation from her lover, the Lord, is so beautifully portrayed in this 21st verse of Tirunedandandagam. Bhattar begins his commentary with a clear analysis of the Pasuram, the poem, and gives a new, refreshing, philosophic, and erotic, bhakti-filled interpretation of the same. He takes up the Pasuram itself and makes us enjoy the explanation of every word and phrase, quoting appropriate passages from Ramayana, Vishnu Purana, and other Vedanta religious books. So Bhattar was so popular that there is a tradition that Bhattar, under instruction from Ramanuja, went to Melkote, Tirunarayanapuram, to meet a Vedanti, a highly learned Advaita scholar. He went there to have a debate with him and establish the religion of the Alvas. He humbly approached the Advaitic scholar and begged for alms. And the Advaitic scholar said, the food is served there. And Paraasara Bhattar said, Adiyan came not for that food, but the sastric food. So immediately he entered into a debate. So when Bhattar was asked which sastram he is going to talk about, he said he had studied Tirumangai Alvar's Tirunedandandagam, and it was quite a new name to the Vedanti. But the noble Vedantic scholar agreed. Bhattar succeeded in the sadas, in the debate, and that Advaitic scholar understood the unparalleled Vishishtadvaita Sri Vaishnava Sri philosophy through that Tirunedandandaka Pasuram, as beautifully explained by Bhattar, and became Bhattar's disciple and was popularly known later as Namjiyar. So when he came to Srirangam from Melkote on the eve of the Adhyayana Utsavam, the festival in which the singing of Alvar Pasurams after the annual break begins, he went to the Lord Ranganatha in the temple and submitted how the defeated Vedanti through Tirunedandandagam became a scholar, became his Shishya. Then being commanded by Perumal, he repeated that argument in front of Perumal. This incident commemorated in Srirangam every year on this day when Arayar reenacts the same before the Lord. This occasion itself goes by the name of Tirunedandandaka Utsava. And the scholarship of Bhattar in Tamil, 2 verses in Venba, are attributed to him which praise the work of Nammalvar. வாந்திகழும் சோலை மதிலரங்கர் வன்புகழ் மேல் ஆன்ற தமிழ்மறைகள் ஆயிரமும் ஈன்ற முதல் தாய் ஷடகோபன் மொயம்பால் வளர்த்த இதத்தாய் ராமானுஷன். Here he says, he describes as the mother, Nammalvar as the mother, and Ramanuja as the foster mother of Tiruvaimozhi. And all the 1,000 and odd verses of Tiruvaimozhi sing the glory of Ranganathan alone, And the next pasuram he says, Mikka irai nilayum, meyyam uyir nilayum, takka neriyum, tadayagi tokkiyalum, ஊழ்வினையும் வாழ்வினையும் ஓதும் குருகையர்கோன் யாழின் இசை வேதத்தியல். மிக்க இறைநிலையும், the nature of supreme deity Paramatma. மெய்யாம் உயிர்நிலையும், the nature of the Jivatma, who is the body of the Paramatma, Shariram of Paramatma. தக்க நெறியும், the goal. தடையாகி தொக்கியலும் ஊழ்வினையும் வாழ்வினையும், the fourth, the means for attainment of the goal, the obstacles that stand in the way. So the Artha Panchakam are talked about in this invocatory verse of Thiruvaimozhi. There are about 40 or 50 slokas composed by Bhattar in praise of Lord Ranganatha and recited by him with exposition in Tamil before the Lord on Thirumanjanam occasions, on Ekadashi, Amavasai, and they are recited even today on those occasions by his lineal descendants under the nomenclature of Paraasara Bhattar and Vedavyasa Bhattar. So beautifully, of course, there is one slokam called Tvam me aham me kutastat tadapi kutayidam veda moola pramanat. We will enjoy that sloka another day. Adiyan. Acharyan Trivadigalé Sharanam. Kavitarkika Simhaya Kalyana Gunashaline Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha. Dhanyosmi Adiyan.